Welcome in. This is Journey to the New Earth, and I'm Kimberly. I'm so glad you're here tonight. I'm very, very excited about our guest, someone I've been looking forward to talking to for a long time, Jay Weidner. Everyone knows him, filmmaker, author, just extraordinary historian. And I'm so looking forward to having the conversation with him about what's going on the planet. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you leave and make sure you click that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. And if you want to keep track of what's going on the planet, but it seems a little overwhelming, and I don't blame you, you might want to sign up for our Friday morning email newsletter. It actually went out this Friday morning. Every Friday morning, it lands in your email inbox. It's short and sweet, pretty comprehensive in what we think are the important things that happened around the planet. It's super easy to sign up. You just click the link in the description box down below. Super free. I think you're going to love it. And if you're tired of your family calling you a nutcase or that you wear a tinfoil hat and you're looking for your people, you might want to come over and join us at journeytothenewearth.locals.com. We now have a private community, censorship free. You can come over there. Everyone's going to love what you have to say, and no one's going to accuse you of being a wackadoodle. So join us over on Locals. It's a fun group, and we'd love to have you. And with that, I would love to welcome to the stage Jay Weidner. Jay, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm so grateful for you for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, and it looks like we have an alien problem.
Yeah, we've had an alien problem for a long time.
Yeah, we did. For those who are not really familiar with the backstory of what's going on planet Earth in regards to other civilizations, why don't you kind of take us back to what your understanding is and bring us up through how the history was really created on Earth and where we're at today with that involvement?
Well, first off, I wrote a book called Mysteries of the Great Cross of Henday, and it's about a monument south of France that me and Vincent Bridges, my co-writer, who's now deceased, investigated for years. And what the cross says is that we go through an ebb and flow of time, and that we go through ages, 4 ages: golden age, a silver age, a bronze age, and an iron age. And these ages are governed by the oscillation of our solar system against the rim of the edge of the galaxy. And the galaxy has all this smudge and matter in the center on the plate, and then we rise above it and we get the emanations from the center of the galaxy. And we've just been behind that plate for like a long time, and we weren't getting any energies, and now we're coming up. The thing is that when we're in the Kali Yuga, we get dumb, we get stupefied, we get distracted, and that allows other outside forces to come in and take over. And that's what's happened. And so a force has taken over. They're called the Anunnaki or the Elohim, or the Greeks called them gods. Everybody has a different word for them. Quetzalcoatl in Mesoamerica, and there's just different names for the same people, and their descriptions are the same. The way each different group that never talk to each other and in their writings describes these beings, they are all the same description. They're tall, they got pale skin, and they don't like humans, but they also like to have sex with us, and so and they rule us. I believe that we're their farm. We're a genetic farm. We actually farm for them. We create products that they use, and they come here and they get it. And how many times have we seen, reports of UFOs that are taking water out of lakes or mountain lakes? People will be camping and they'll see this UFO, and this thing will come out and just start sucking up the water, because they're using us for all sorts of purposes. And now that we're climbing out of the Kali Yuga, we're waking up to them, and we're seeing that they're there, and we're comparing notes from across time and across land masses, and we're really beginning to understand what's going on. And we now have, of course, correct translations of the Bible. And so now we know that the Bible is not talking about God. It's talking about the Elohim. It's talking about alien beings that come here and created us. They didn't create us. They genetically changed us, and so we could do work for them. Probably gold mining, because of the big gold mines that are in South Africa and Zimbabwe are hundreds of thousands of years old. So we don't even know who did those or where they came from and how they had the technology thousands of years ago to be able to go down and do that. But we do know that gold is very important to these beings. And we have a lot of gold on this planet. And so they have been in control of us for thousands of years, and we are now breaking free of their reign, and they know it.
Yeah. My understanding, and it sounds like we're on the same page as that, is that humans, some form of human, not Homo sapiens sapien, but some form of human existed on Earth when the Anunnaki, broad term for someone from another planet, came, genetically modified us to make us more able to do the physical work that they no longer wanted to do, or was too big for their numbers, because we procreate, we make lots of babies. And the thing I loved is they color coded us, like this color is really good for this task and this color is really good for this, which I thought was pretty clever. They should come and organize my kitchen. So they genetically modified us, and then they decided that the women were looking pretty doggone hot and started, knowing the creations that they made, and things went from there. Now,
comes from.
Pardon?
So alchemy comes from that. So how it got started, the original earliest writings on alchemy tell the story of a very lovely woman in Egypt. Her name was Isis the prophetess, and she had I forget his name, Azael, one of the Elohim, chasing after her, and she's like, no, I'm not going to do it. No, he's begging her for sex, and she's saying, no, I'm not going to do it. And then she says, okay, I'll do it, but you've got to give me your deepest secrets. And so that's how we found out about alchemy, and that was the whole secret, was the transmutation of metals and a long life and the whole thing. And so even the fable of alchemy, which is alchemy, Elohim, alchemy, it comes from this interaction of humans, basically them and the human females. There doesn't seem to be much interaction between. I don't even know if there are female Elohim or female Anunnaki. I'm not sure, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of interaction between human males and these guys. But
okay, well, I knew. My understanding is that Inky had a sister.
He did.
Yeah, so that would indicate there are females, but you're right. I have not heard any stories of the humans.
They're downplayed. The females are downplayed, and the males are upplayed. So it's no doubt some kind of patriarchal society. It sounds like, anyway. So anyway, they love to abduct people, and they love to have sex with Earth women. What can I say?
What can I say? Gals, I guess we got something here in the universe. Interesting that I have also heard, and I'm not going to compare my level of research to yours. I mean, you are the king in that area. But my understanding was that they were are master geneticists, even though they may not have evolved spiritually as much as they've evolved technologically, but they're master geneticists. And one of the things that they did with Homo sapiens sapien was to shorten our lifespan, because the longer we lived, the more smarter we got, and they darn well didn't want us to catch on to anything, so they made sure we flamed out before we got 200, 300 years down the road and started catching on. Now they are very long-lived. Is that your understanding?
Thousands of years, probably. Yeah, they put a governor on our lifespan, the telomeres. They get shorter and shorter with every change of the cells. And they also put a governor on our brain, which will begin to diminish, that governor will, as time goes on now. And that's one of the things that you're seeing all around you is everybody's like, whoa, I just woke up, and good. I'm glad that they're all waking up and all of that. But the wake up is also going to come with a enormous mental distress as each normie goes through the stress of realizing what exactly is really going on. And normies are just people who haven't figured out the game. As soon as they figure out the game, then they're not a normie any longer.
Yeah.
And that's
Now,
what's going on.
when you talk about the governor on our brains, are you talking about the pineal gland?
I think so. I think it's in the pineal gland. I think that the part of the alchemy is the decalcifying the pineal gland and knowing how to do it and what exercises and things to do and eat and all of that you need to do to keep it cleansed of the calcification that happens through aging. Now we know that distilled water will decalcify the pineal gland and like instantly almost. So I would say everybody drink 6 ounces a day of distilled water. Don't only drink distilled water. That's not good for you. But and also the distilled water pulls all the calcium off your veins. So you get the calcium buildup on your veins, and the distilled water will also get rid of that. It just sucks all the minerals up because there's no minerals in distilled water. And distilled water itself is an alchemy of sorts. So there's many tricks in the trade, and you have to know what you're actually going after, and then you can find the answers to all of these questions. But yeah, the pineal gland, decalcifying the pineal gland, and then and then learning the light dark practice, which is super important. So what happens is that your pineal gland gives out melatonin and serotonin. It gives out melatonin at night and serotonin in the daytime. When the sun starts going down, everything get tired. That's when the melatonin kicks in. That's why you got to be really careful about looking into a screen after it gets dark, because you're fooling your brain into thinking that it's serotonin, and that will not make you sleep very well. So you got to keep all of this in mind. So your brain puts out melatonin at night, and then when the sun comes up, you get serotonin. That gives you that really good feeling that you get in the morning, right? That's the endorphin release from the serotonin, because serotonin is really close to dimethyltryptamine. It's one atom away from it, and that's that really good feeling you get, especially if you do sun gazing. So in the old days, when they had secret societies, what they would do is they would take your initiate and they would put them into a completely black room for 3 days. And then they, in that black room, and they would take care of them, give them food and water and everything. And in that black room, there was already had been placed a coffin, a light, tight coffin. And after 3 days, the person gets into the coffin, he shuts the lid, and then his friends come in and they pick him up or her up, and they take him, her, wherever, to a place where they're in the morning before the sun rises, where they can see the sun rise, right? And then right when the tip of the sun hits the very top of the horizon, just see the orange sun coming over it. That's when they pull him out of the coffin, or her, and they have a bandana around their head. I forgot to add that part. They have something blocking the sun. And as soon as they stand them up, and each person has to grab each shoulder of the person, they take the bandana off, and the person stares into the sun for the entire time that the sun rises. It's about 6-7 minutes. And what this does, and you're going to need to have somebody to hold you up, by the way, because it's going to hit you like a psychic thunderclap. And so what happens is that the 3 days that you were in the darkness, you've built up this huge amount of melatonin in your brain, in your pineal gland. And when that light hits your eyes, all of that melatonin is instantly changed into serotonin. And you get an endogenous dimethyltryptamine rush that is yourself, your own. It's like turning in on yourself. It's your own endogenous dimethyltryptamine that you created yourself. And this goes on for 6 or 7 minutes, and then they put you back in the coffin because you can't overload it. It's really dangerous. And then you close the coffin back, and they bring the guy back, the girl back, whoever it is, into the dark room, and there they sit for 40 days. And this is what the whole myth of Jesus is really all about. And so for 40 days, they sit there. And I've never done this, by the way, but I am intending to do it. But
I was just going to ask you if you'd done it. It's because it certainly sounds like it. The way you're describing it.
Well, and the myth, the book that I read this all in, which is this really deep Masonic book that a Mason gave me 30 years ago. He didn't give it to me. I had to go to his house and read it. But apparently, your skin falls off, your teeth fall out, your hair falls out, and then it all comes back. It all comes back only like 25 years younger. And apparently the regrowing of the nervous system in the last 7 or 8 days of the 40 days is the hardest part, because you're in a world of hurt, because you're suddenly getting a brand new nervous system. And I mean, that's what I hear. And the people that have done it said that when they finally come out of the room, they feel like they're like on LSD for like the first week. They say everything is psychedelic, everything is like outrageous, everything is weird. And that's one of the practices of these groups, these alien groups. And this is how one of the ways that they stay healthy and alive for thousands of years. They decalcify the pineal gland, and they do this exercise I just described to you. And by the way, this is a deep Masonic exercise. I don't even know if the Masons practice it anymore. But I found this in Peru, they do it. I found this in Tibet, they do it. I found that this is in Mexico, they do it. They have caves where they go do all this stuff. And it's drug-free. It's completely legal. Nobody can do anything to stop you from doing it.
Now, I'm dumbstruck here for a minute. Why would a person want to do it? Is it kind of just takes you back in time and resets you so that you're a more wide awake human?
That and that you're gonna de-age by 20, 25 years in the process.
Okay.
So so every 10 years you do it, and you stay young for your whole life. And the whole point of that is to study and learn, because that's the whole point. And that you're right. They want you to get out of here by 72, but that's not enough time. You need at least another 100 years.
At least, yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's like by 60, 70, you're just really
just getting
a lay of the land and understanding what the broader story is. I mean, those first years, you're just trying to figure out how to manage in this reality system, which is pretty weird.
Yeah, and of course, my new movie, which is coming out next week, is all about how we live this life of trauma. And and we're all traumatized at early ages, and what kind of effect that has on us psychically and spiritually, and this is all by design too. They want us to be traumatized, so you can't sit down and figure things out because you're so busy dealing with all of your trauma from childhood and all that. So yeah, so you go through 4 stages in life, where the first stage is just information being pumped into you. So you go to school and they, oh, 2 and 2 is 4, and here's how you put a sentence together, and blah, 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 blah. And you're not really learning how to think. You're learning rote knowledge that they're pounding into you. And then somewhere around 13 or 14, if you're lucky and you got good parents, you're going to start getting interested in other things that aren't being pounded into you, like dance or music or science or whatever, right? And then that's the beginning of individuation. You're starting to individuate yourself from everybody else. And then the next stage is you go through a series of learning. So you figure, oh, now I play music, and now I know sacred geometry, and I understand architecture, and I understand how to speak 3 languages, and right until you're like 35 or 40, and then you stacked up all of this stuff if you're lucky and you live the right kind of life, and then only then at like 40 or so, 45. Do you begin putting all of this disparate knowledge together, and you begin to start to figure out what's really going on, and then you're gone. That's
And then you're out of here.
You're out of here. So, and it's it's a dirty trick. It really is.
And then they recycle you and throw you right back in, and you have to start all over again.
And then they take your memory away, so you can't even remember what happened to you in your last life.
I know. What were we thinking coming here, really?
Well, what we are is we're all around the earth is this giant plasma cloud. It's called the Kordylewski cloud. And it's a cloud of plasma. And we come down as filaments from the plasma cloud. It's called the Sushumna in Hindu, in Vedic mythology. And they say it comes down, it's a millionth the width of a human hair, and it comes down right here. It touches you right here. That's why the baby's head is soft when it's born, because it hasn't quite formed. This thing isn't done yet. Still has more work to do. And then it forms a human being. And then when you die, and then it goes down into your whole system and it lights your body. You have a light body. Depending on, again, how lucky you are and what you understand. And then when you die, that light body collapses in on you, wraps around your spine, and goes right up into the Sushumna again. And you go back up into the plasma cloud, and all your memories are deposited into the cloud and the Akashic record. And the aliens don't want you to know this. This is the biggest thing they don't want you to ever know. They don't want you to know because they can't do that. They don't die, so they don't get to go back up into the plasma cloud, which is really nice. There's no mosquitoes there. It's really cool. And the Anunnaki can't do that. They can't do that. They're divorced from all of this. And they know that we aren't. And so they've set us into a genetic trap so that we keep coming back here. And we don't have to. We don't have to come back here if we don't want to. But it is a natural mechanism, the recycling of the soul into the plasma cloud and back. It is a natural cycle. It's something that you have to do. And when you get up there, you as soon as you die, you're going to go up there and you're going to relive your life, probably backwards. And it's going to be really painful, especially when you start looking at you when you're under 20. All the dumb.
Have you been following me? Okay, so I have a question. It is so funny because I was talking with Bija behind the scenes before we came on. And Bija, for everyone watching, Bija is the wonderful woman who manages the chat over there. So everyone say hi to Bija and thank you very much. She does such a good job and she shows up and she just really helps out. But she and I were talking about the fact that there are a lot of people, Bob Monroe is one, Isabel Green, that pretty much say we're in a we're in a trap here.
Yep.
In other words, we cycle out and we want to get out beyond, and they just grab you and they throw you back into a body.
Yep.
Do you agree with that?
I think you can, it depends on how it's so important to dedicate your life, a large part of your life, to spiritual practice, because it depends on how advanced you are spiritually, how fast you're recycled. If you're a Joe Schmo normie, yeah, it's going to be up there and back. They're going to put you through your life experience. You're going to see that you're an idiot, that you didn't do anything important in your whole life, and get back down there and do it again. And so, but if you're spiritually advanced, you'll move up to there's different planes and levels in this thing. If you read the works of Emanuel Swedenborg, he would astrally travel, and he said, there's 9 spheres. He said the bottom sphere is where most of the souls go, and then if you really work hard, you can get up into like the 9th sphere, where you can take it easy. You don't have to go back. You can consider where you are and how long you want to stay there, and do I really even want to come back, right? So that's what's so important about here, is that you're not supposed to be doing really anything here on earth but trying to advance your understanding of everything. In other words, the goal of being a human being is to understand the nature of this reality as much as you can.
And I think most people don't even they're just waiting for the next tea time or something. Another beer, the game, go team. Okay, so we have an alien problem. And I'll tell you one thing that I went through, Jay, and you'll understand this. And I really learned it from you today, because I watched that video on your channel, Rise of the Archons. Yeah. And for everyone watching, I've listed in the description box down below, so you can go watch it too. And one of the things you brought up really changed my mind about something. And one of the frustrations I've had about the spiritual community, or the truther community, whatever you want to call these, us folks who are trying to navigate our way through this in a little broader way, is I was so grateful when someone finally said to me, and it was Penny Kelly, said, we're in the middle of a takeover plan. There's another civilization that wants to take over humanity. I was like, oh my gosh. It's like all of a sudden everything fell into place. It made so much sense to me. And I was so grateful, because if you understand what's going on, it makes it so much easier to manage it.
Yeah.
And one of the frustrations that I've had is that I interview channelers, and I interview different people that are connected psychically in different ways, is in particularly the channelers or the spiritual people will not say it. And for me, it's like, hey, that's one of the most important things we need to be talking about right now, because it makes everything starts making sense. All the traumatizing movies, all the satanistic music, everything that we see is scripted to keep us in this state of fear and keep us in this state of panic and yada, yada, yada. Yeah. So I have this level of frustration about it. But then you brought something up in that video you did, Rise of the Archons. Again, it's listed below if you guys want to watch it. You said talking about them just gives them more energy. And I went, you know what? That's true. So it's like, it's that fine line between saying, hey, this is what's going on, and this is how we manage it. And we explain what's going on, but we don't dwell there, because that just brings that energy or feeds that energy.
Yeah, you don't want to. I don't generally. I've got a lot of offers after I did that show from big people to come on and talk about the Archons, and for that same reason, I didn't do it, and I'm very reticent to give them much of my energy, because they do notice you. There's a great line from the Mothman prophecies with Richard Gere. You noticed them, and they noticed that you noticed them. And that's where you got to be careful, right? Because, I remember it must have been, okay, I can't remember, but I was watching Alex Jones one day, like in 2020, something like that. And he had on this guy, and I've never been able to find the show again. And the guy was like, How to Recognize Demons was basically the show. And it was about a 45-minute show. And the guy was really good. He was like, you got to look for this and that and this. And I was like, really? And then I said, okay, if there really are demons and this guy's like on the level, then Alex Jones is going to get canceled. the demons are going to come in and make sure this guy gets canceled. They're not going to let him ever do this again. 3 weeks later, boom, Alex Jones was completely canceled. And I thought, whoa. Anyway, I remember everything that he said. I'm not going to repeat it because I don't want, it's very subtle, but I did start practicing what he was saying. And I'll say this, creeps look like creeps. They do.
So in other words, you're saying that what we see visually is a big fat clue.
Yeah, really big clue. And when you see that off thing that you're not quite sure what's going on, you can almost be assured that there's something going on.
Okay, can I share a quick little Instagram video right now? And I'm going to try to do this, you guys. I'm not very good at this tech stuff, but I did pull it up just in case. So I want to go here. Okay. Can you guys see that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, if you guys will watch and notice, watch what her eye does. Have you seen this, Jay?
Yep.
Okay, so her eye closes automatically like one of those little dolls, and she taps the side of her head. And it closes again, and she taps the side of her head.
Yep.
That's Katy Perry. Okay, so what I want to say, and I'm gonna pop off for a minute here. I went and read the comments on that video, and you can't believe how many people made excuses for what she was doing. And one of the things they did was say, oh, that's just her magnetic eyelashes, or that's her eyelash glue. Folks, I'm a woman. I've been wearing makeup for a long, long time, decades. That's not eyelash glue. And my point to you, Jay, is exactly what you said. It's right in front of us.
Yep.
And yet we will come up with all these fairy tales and stories to explain it away. Now, I can't say for sure what is going on with that gal, but my guess is that who that was is not human, or not completely human,
Yep.
Something else. What would you say it is, Jay? And of course, we don't know. We're guessing.
Yeah, just guessing. But, in my new movie, A Clockwork Shining, I have the clip of, what's her name? The singer.
Madonna?
No. The one that took the reins from Madonna. She's now Britney.
Oh,
Britney Spears talking. She's being interviewed by Diane Sawyer, and then she starts talking to a person over here, and then a person over here, and is like, what are you doing? And so yeah, you don't get in. We saw the Angelina Jolie clip where she said she had to go to a ritual in order to get into Hollywood. Yeah, you can't get in without being part of the game, and now everybody's part of the game, and now they're just blatantly putting it in your face. So the rise of satanic rituals in Hollywood is through the chart, and they're not even really hiding it anymore. And what can I say?
Yeah, what can we say? But here's the thing that for me, and you've been down this road much longer than I have, much, much longer. And we all appreciate, everyone loves the research you've done. You're everyone's hero. But one thing that I can say is that when you start really catching on, you realize that everything within our society is backed by this energy.
Yeah.
There's very few places you can go that isn't controlled from a negative bent, or a twisted bent, or some type of sexual deviation, or trying to normalize a sexual deviation. Why is that important in their agenda, and what is it they want from us?
Well, that will open up a box of worms. Yeah. So so there's a book we've written about 1969, maybe 1970. I believe the author's name was Benjamin Friedman. And he attended a conference. He was like a bigwig. And he attended a conference somewhere on Earth with all these bigwigs. And he said in this book, he said that all the world's bigwigs were there. And they put out an announcement that they were going to change sexuality from being used for procreation to recreation, and that they were going to just redo the whole thing. And he was outraged by it. He was a conservative, very religious guy, and so he wrote this little pamphlet, more like a pamphlet, about what he heard at that conference. And so that was the beginning of the 60s sexual revolution. And so they're using it, because what happens in sex is that you get depleted energy-wise, especially men. And so if you can get a man to constantly, through porno and all sorts of whatever weird thing, to be constantly expending their sexual energy, you're going to wear that guy out. He's going to be worn out. He's probably going to get ill and sick, and probably have die at a young age. And that's what they want. And so remember, the Archons don't want to kill us. They want you on life support so they can suck your energy. They don't want you to die. They want your energy. So they want you to be nearly dead, so you can't fight or resist. And then they just want to just continually draw the energy out of you for as long as you can. And that's why you see so many people walking around like zombies. The energy's been sucked out of them. And so the Archons are like the spiritual parasites of the aliens. They come with the alien.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
let's move into, there are other races of beings that are making themselves known on the planet, like the Palladians, or the group that Bashar channels. I kind of look at it, the more I look around and I'm listening to these different people, and everybody is becoming much more aware that there's lots and lots of civilizations, lots of reality systems out there. And I kind of look at Earth now, and I'll make this analogy, that they're treating us like we're a high school kid that really knows how to play ball, and every collegiate coach is showing up wanting to take us and our parents out to dinner. You know, all these different civilizations are all of a sudden showing up wanting to guide us or share their wisdom, or help us through this time, raise our vibration, that sort of thing. What's going on in around Earth, as far as how do we, who is really trying to influence us? And then if I was a collective, a civilization from off planet, and I saw this emerging civilization that had all these people, had all these numbers, which means that we've got all this power, all this energy, and I maybe, had less than stellar intentions, I might come on and start acting really nice and start channeling through someone and start, ingratiating myself in order to try to grab that energetic collective. So I feel like we're kind of in a situation where we're sort of easy pickings right now. How do you see it?
Well, we are. I mean, we're definitely easy pickings. But we have something that, besides our connection to the spirit world that we have that they don't have. We also have something else that they don't have, and that is we're incredibly creative, and that they don't have either. And so I think we're being guided by positive forces that remain invisible. I've always thought that, and that are at war with the bad forces that are at work, but they can't show themselves because they have to do it through us. And they do it like by dropping a book in your lap while you're at the bookstore or whatever. Everybody's had their weird experience where they got something that out of the blue that shouldn't have happened, and it turned out to be something that was really important to their life. I know that happens to me about once every 5 months. So yeah, and what these spiritual forces want, or they may be human forces, by the way, not just spiritual, is for us to become cosmic engineers. to become a spacefaring race that um, transfers consciousness out into space, our consciousness out into the larger sphere. And I think we're headed that way. I think that, we're not going to get there anytime soon, but we're going to get there, and it's going to be amazing. And I don't think that any of the things that the bad forces want are going to come about, because here's the thing is they've been at this for a long time. I mean, I have writings going back to pre-1900 of their plans, and they haven't worked. Here we are 125 years after their plans come out, and all they've done is just cause so much chaos. The whole plan for the elite is to cause as much chaos as possible and then take over because of the chaos, easy pickings, like you say, and then they're going to remake everything after that. Right? But
they're going to fix it for us.
They're going to fix it. But that's not how it works. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't, because once you destroy us, you've destroyed us. There's no coming back from it. So we can't let them destroy us. And when I say spiritual, I just want to be clear. I'm not talking about like, I don't know, hippy dippy meditation or something like that. I'm talking about the physical knowledge, the gaining of physical knowledge. That's what I'm talking about. I believe that true spiritual emancipation happens when you know as much as you can possibly know, when you fill your head up with as many different things that you possibly can, when your talent stack is 100 miles high, then you're talking. And then you have to know spirituality, you have to know science, you have to know art, you have to know history, you have to know psychedelics, you have to know, there are 100,000 things that you have to know. And if you're not spending your very precious life going after and studying as many things as you possibly can, you're wasting your life, and you got to stop right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that's the kind of the crossroads we're at right now. And I see it. I see people making choices that are not going to be supported in the direction that we're going.
Yeah.
And I'm able to recognize, well, that's not the kind of people we need moving forward. We need thinkers. We need people who stand in their power. We need people who figure it out, who are creative.
Yep.
So the potential for humanity, when I think about it, we have been inundated from every direction with ugliness and fear and low vibration stuff. And I was complaining about it yesterday. It's like the world around us that's been created. I mean, when you look back at architecture from, it's like, and compare it to strip malls today, it just makes me want to cry that our environment is so non-nurturing and so not beautiful. And it could be beautiful. And when I see the potential of humanity, because look at how we're creative, even being so dumbed down and put in fear constantly and put in these environments that are not conducive to anything wonderful. And yet we still create. We're like those little dolls that you can't knock over. We just keep bouncing back up and going at it. So the potential that we have, I'm sure that those of us, the other collectives around the galaxy are looking at us going, holy smokes, that's a lot of potential on that planet.
Yeah, I think my view is that we're going to return to that now, that we're going to tear down our cities and rebuild them as beautiful, integrated with nature, gorgeous buildings based on sacred geometry. And because where you live is where that's also healing, and how you live and the way you live and everything, And so my house is, yes, I don't live in the golden age, but my house is in the golden age. I guarantee it. You walk into my house and you've got sounds of ocean going, you've got beautiful music going, you got pyramids and crystals everywhere. And I mean, and I do it because I want visually and audibly. I want to live in a beautiful place. I want, beautiful stuff everywhere. And so when I go to the city, I get distressed because they're so ugly and everybody's so ugly and it seems like they're getting uglier. So I don't know what to.
It does, and it's so frantic. The energy is like, "Oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore either." Okay, so we've got an alien problem. It's solvable. Based on your experience and all your research, what's the best course of action for the human that's really wanting to move forward in a way that's going to push us into that more of a spacefaring race and a race that's really stellar in this big old universe?
Well, first off, know that no matter what's going on, the trivial things that are going on in life or the politics, nobody's stopping the technology. All right. The technology is going at such a fervor that it is outrageous. So you're going to see some inventions that were already invented. They just got to get them out now. And there's a whole new mentality on it right now among all the way up until about 2 or 3 years ago. Everybody's, I've got this free energy device. I'm going to patent and make myself millions of dollars. And of course, they get destroyed. It never happens.
They get unlived.
And so now the new way is to just put the thing out on the internet. There's like various sites, science sites, right? And so right now you can build some really interesting devices. And what I think is actually going on is that everybody that's releasing these technologies is somehow related to the Navy and naval research. And I know why that is. And so what I really think is going on is that nobody knows more about the aliens than the Navy, okay? Because the ships are being followed by UFOs and we know all the stories now, right? And it's the Navy that's constantly chasing after them. And so I think that the Navy tried to work things out politically in the last few years, but they've now come to the conclusion like 3 years ago or so that they can't do that. It's not going to work. So they're just going to release all of this very high technology, and we're going to have free energy very soon. You're going to be able to go from New York to Australia in like 2 hours, and all not using any energy, not polluting anything. I know exactly what the technology is. I know how it works, but I'm not qualified to release it because I'm not a scientist. But a group of scientists are releasing it, and they've had it. I've talked to them. They've had it. They're done. We're done with you all. And so that's how things are really going to change is through technology. And technology doesn't stop. And AI is not sentient or conscious, but it's going to be very useful in this thing that we're about to go through. And so AI is going to change everything too.
I talked to a channel, Jay, about a year ago about ZBT, zero point technology, free energy. And what they said is that it was going to come out in 2024. And what they were going to do is they were going to drop it into so many different people around the planet that they couldn't take them all out.
That's what's going on.
And that's so exciting to hear it come to fruition.
Yeah, and every one of those people knows that could be taken out, so they're spreading it as fast as they can.
Yeah,
so it won't be worth taking them out anymore, right?
Right.
So it's in their personal life interest to get it out as fast as possible, because that way it's like the end of Spartacus. Everybody stands up and says, I am Spartacus, I am Spartacus, and you can't figure out who Spartacus is. And that's what has to happen. So that's where we're at right now. And it's really exciting. And I would even go out of my way to say, because I really have looked into all of this really closely, because it's very close to alchemy, is that if you can stay alive for 5 to 8 more years, you're going to be in a world you're not even going to believe. You're not even going to believe it. And you probably will stay alive for another 50 to 100 years after that, because that's how advanced things are going to get really quickly. And it's all based on a whole new physics, based on plasma and understanding plasma and how it works, and that 99% of the universe is plasma and 1% is hard physical matter. And so our science is all based on hard physical matter and not bothering to study the other 99% of the universe. And when that's where all the action is. So we're plasma beings, our brain is plasma, our blood is plasma. When we die, we go back up into the plasma realms. There's nothing to fear. And so when you know that there's nothing to fear, you can become fearless. And once you become fearless, the Archons hate that more than anything else. They hate it. You know, I knew this guy, he was a psychologist, and he worked in a mental institution. And he actually, you know, talked to the demon that was inside one of these people, right? He had a conversation with it. And the demon said, you know, I'm here because this guy's an idiot. He let me in, right? I'm never leaving. And he said, well, why do you tell him that he's a horrible person all the time? Just because I know it drives him nuts. I know that drives him crazy. So I just constantly, you're a terrible person. You're a terrible person. You're a terrible person. And that's how they do it. And, you know, and pretty soon you're driven nuts. You pull out a gun, start killing everybody at school or whatever. And so the dynamic of Archon demons is having an effect on all of our lives, is what I'm trying to say. And, you know, you just never know when somebody's going to turn on you. And you have to be careful. But as I like to say, if you meet someone, and I want to say one more thing before I say this. I was reading the Nag Hammadi texts about the Archons, which are 2,000-year-old texts that were found in Egypt. At the same exact time, I was reading the Psychopath Test by Robert Hare, who's a psychologist up in Vancouver. And I was reading the Gnostic description of what an Archon is, and I was reading the psychologist's description of what a psychopath was, and they're exactly the same. Exactly the same. So when you meet someone who's a psychopath, realize they probably got a demonic presence attached to them, and stay away. Get away as fast as you can.
You know, that's interesting because I was listening to a channel from the Pleiadians, a really good channel. And that's what they said. They said because this civilization is so old, we're talking about the Anunnaki or the Archons, they've literally become crazy. Like they no longer are rational thinkers. They're psychopaths.
That's because they lived too long.
Yeah, but they've lived too long, and they've just kind of turned in on themselves.
Your soul must recycle.
Yeah.
Or you'll go crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can live to be, say, 400 years and not go crazy because there's enough to learn and do and study and keep yourself occupied. But 5,000 years, you start doing things you shouldn't be doing.
You're going down the wrong road. Oh my gosh. This has been such a great conversation, Jay. We hit our hour. Tell us about your new movie and where we can find it.
Yeah, it'll be up on Amazon Prime probably in a couple weeks.
What's the title?
It's called A Clockwork Shining, Kubrick's Odyssey 3. And basically it's about the film The Shining. And it's saying that Stanley Kubrick wanted to tell us about MK Ultra, and The Shining is about MK Ultra. So the family is being experimented on, isolated in the mountains, and the goal is, can we get Jack to kill his family, right? And that's what the movie is really about. And we have several clues that Kubrick left in the movie to prove that that is exactly what's going on in this movie, including adding the alternate ending that Kubrick cut from The Shining, which proves that we were exactly right. And that this theory is exactly the right theory. Even without The Shining being in the movie is the best cinema history of the MK Ultra programs ever done in the history of cinema. So even if you took out The Shining, it's still the best history. And if you don't know about the MK Ultra programs, you really want to find out about it, because that's how they're getting into our heads. And everything is MK Ultra now. Everything, all the ads, all the movies, all the TV shows, all the music, everything is MK Ultra. And you can see the progression of it from the 50s onwards into the 60s, into the 70s. And, and each decade, the program's getting higher and with higher gains. And so, it's an important time to get this movie out because if we can figure out how we're being mind controlled, we can stop it.
Yeah, wonderful. And that brings up something that I also noticed when I watched The Rise of the Archons on your channel today. You were reading the text from a video or an interview you had done like in 2010, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
And what the interviewer said to you is that he did not own a TV. And you said, I don't watch TV. I haven't had a TV in 25 years. Most of the people that I meet that are really, really awake and aware, they don't have a TV. And what has happened for me, and I'm sure it's happened for you, is anytime I'm exposed to a television,
Yeah.
like at an airport, it's like horrifying.
Oh my God.
I can't even believe that people look at that like that's something that they want to have in their head.
Yeah, when I travel and I have to stay at a hotel, which I hate, sometimes I'll turn it on because I don't watch TV either. And it's like, it's so,
I know.
I'm being attacked.
It is.
Hit
Yeah.
the stop button. Oh, I
I
survived.
know. I know. And then you got to get quiet again. It's like I never even turn it. I don't even want to touch the remote. It's like I don't even want to touch the remote.
More. There's nothing to watch anyway. I mean, not really. So
Yeah. But your movie's coming out next week. We can watch that.
yeah, that's pretty good. And you can just get it on Amazon Prime, like I said.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, good timing on that. And then how do we find out more about you? I've got your YouTube channel listed down below.
Yeah, you go to jweidner.com, get all my free articles and links to my movies, which are up on Gaia and Amazon. And I have about 35 films probably out by now. And I retired 5 years ago from filmmaking, and I was all ready to not ever pick up a camera or do anything again. And then all of a sudden, about a year ago, I started getting involved in it again. And there's an axiom that you can't make a good film after you're 65. So I'm breaking that axiom. So yeah.
Good for you. Wonderful. Well, I hope you'll come back and see us again.
Anytime.
All right. All right. Everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Catch us over on Locals, journeytothenewEarth.locals.com. Jay, stick around for a second, okay? All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.